Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Floyd Marinescu. So, UBI Works and the CEO of C4 Media.
Hey everyone, I'm the closing speaker. I can't rap. I would like to rap. That would be really fun. But thank you all for being here. It's an amazing commitment that we all made to come and show up in March for basic income. And it really matters, because although we may be a couple hundred here, we're going to make sure that MPs know that we came out to march. On social media, we put pictures and videos up that gets literally tens of thousands of likes and comments over the course of the next year or two. So basic income is really an election priority, and we need to make sure that people know that it is real, it is here, people are willing to march for it, people are willing to show up for it. So I'm the founder of UBI Works. I'm the primary donor to it from the proceeds of my business. It's a software development education company. One of the reasons why I'm for basic income is because I grew up in a house with domestic violence, and if there was a basic income in place, the power dynamics would have been different. My mom would have had other options. My dad would have been probably more respectful. And basic income is very much about power dynamics, about freedom. The freedom to say no to an abusive situation, whether it's at the workplace or within family or anywhere. Freedom to say no to a bad life circumstance and be able to get a better circumstance, have the ability to pursue your potential. And that's really important to me. Imagine if we had, basic income makes people unexploitable in the absolute financial sense of the word. So we need to create that society. And it's not that expensive. I'll talk about that in a moment. So UBI Works, we're for a guaranteed basic income to eliminate poverty ASAP, to buy people time to transition to better work in this new economy. We're also for, in the long term, in a dividend that a GBI can be built on top of to let us all share in the stakes of our growing economy, so that the middle class can also get a dividend as well. But first and foremost, it's guaranteed basic income. So I think things aren't working. We all objectively can see we're at full employment right now, and jobs still suck. 53% of Canadians are $200 away from insolvency. A quarter of us are actually not able to make ends meet, even while working. 2/3 of people in poverty are working. So the stories we're telling ourselves that all we need to do is create more jobs and work harder, they're not true. Maybe they were never true. We're at full employment. This is the dream of every economist, and things are still bad. So do we really think that another 1 million jobs, which is the most I've ever heard any political party promise, will actually change things for people in low-income situations?
No!
No, it won't. Of course it won't. We need to change things from the bottom up. We need a basic income, which is frankly what a market system needed and should have had for hundreds of years. It was always a good idea. And with the basic income, we can end poverty for people in low-income situations, and we've seen from various experiments that actually helps everybody. Because people in low-income situations can lobby for better income, they can pursue better work, they can negotiate better pay, and even median wages went up in Manitoba, where the basic income trial happened in the 70s. Median wages went up for people who didn't actually get the basic income, because when low-income people can negotiate better wages, everyone's wages go up. So really quick, because I'm a nerd, computer science nerd, I can't help but not explain my view of why things are so screwed up, and I call it the big squeeze. Our ability to pay for a good life is being squeezed on two sides. On one side by technology and automation, which is actually shrinking wage growth. 50 to 70% of the changes in how our income distribution from work has been proven to be impacted by automation, which means that wages aren't going up because there's so much technology already replacing jobs now that the rest of us are competing for what's left. And what's left is increasingly lower income work. Yes, we're creating some higher income jobs, we're creating more lower income jobs, and we're not creating nearly enough middle income jobs. That's called polarization. Imagine a lot of people at the two poles of the income spectrum. And in a country where we don't have a middle class, the democracy will not flourish, and it's quite risky. So basic income will ensure everyone can have middle class level of psychological safety. To ensure they can make long-term plans. Middle class level possibly of lifestyle, because technology does make things cheaper. And on the other side of that of the big squeeze is rising costs of living, especially costs of land and housing, which has been happening for multiple decades. And basically can help that for the people who are most vulnerable. It's obviously not the solution. It's the first step in a wider solution to address the big squeeze, so that technology can help all of us, starting with those who are most in need, and eventually help everybody. And it's realistic and it's affordable. At UBI Works, we We did research to show that you can pay for a basic income without costing the vast majority of working people, because 2/3 of people want a basic income, only 1/3 said they're willing to pay more tax for it. That is the number one objective we have to cross for this to win in an election. A party has to promise it, and voters have to not worry that they're going to lose even more money in this time when already we're being squeezed. So we've shown that we can pay for a basic income that reduces poverty by more than half through contributions from the financial sector and reduce subsidies that mostly benefit large corporations and the wealthiest Canadians. It would not affect the vast majority of working people, which means we can vote this in and we can all benefit. So if you're debating someone who says, I can't have my taxes go up, you can say, well, it won't go up for you. In fact, you'll be helped, as I mentioned earlier, as that even median wages go up when people in lower income situations are better off. So this is really important, and I think that it'll help us prepare for a better future, a future where automation does rapidly displace jobs, as happened to my father and uncle who lost their manufacturing jobs in the early 2000s. What we see is that people who lose their jobs because they've been displaced by automation always take lower income work after that because they don't have the right skills. We can have a future that many famous economists have predicted, where we have shorter work hours, we've eliminated any need, we don't work for survival, we work to benefit others, we work to improve ourselves, improve the world. We can have that. And basic income is the first step. Income decoupled from work was a key observation in John Maynard Keynes' essay about how by 2030 we would be living in a very different world of prosperity. So basic income is the first step. So thank you for being here. We can have the future our hearts know is possible. So that said, feel free to take your signs home with you, put them on your lawns. There is an election coming. The best thing you can do is vote for the candidate in your riding who is for basic income. On basicincomenow.ca, you can see the pledges, who's taking the pledge. If they haven't taken a pledge, you can send them a link to that page and ask them to take the pledge. And that's the most important thing right now. And meanwhile, feel free to stick around. Everyone here is like-minded. Good place to make friends and talk about basic income. Thank you.
Awesome.